All right, how's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Cofrancesco, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about points and miles. This is going to be the beginner's guide. It's going to be the overall synopsis of how the program works, a little delve into the world, and kind of give you a high-level overview. I know that a lot of you have accumulated miles over the year, accumulated points over the year, maybe from personal reasons, maybe from professional reasons. You travel a little bit from work. Maybe you have a business that does a lot of spending every month, and you see that you're accumulating these points and miles. So today I'm going to hopefully tell you a little bit about how to maximize them and how to take a jump into this world and really make some headway. So let's first begin. I've got to turn my clicker on now. Okay, so let's first begin with who am I? Who is this kid sitting up here? It looks like he's 20 years old. Well, my name is Anthony Cofrancesco, and I am a fourth-year student at the University of Florida. I started out as a pre-med major. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but it turns out that that really wasn't the right fit for me. So I switched over to accounting. I loved it, and I've been doing it ever since. So I did 2 years of corporate accounting for Verizon in their finance leadership development program, and I really learned a lot there. But what was really cool is I started to travel a lot, meet a lot of people who traveled a lot, and then I was kind of pushed into this world about points and miles. And so to this day, when I've been doing this for about 2 years, and at this point I fly, and this year I've flown 68 times this year. Hopefully I'm going to hit around 80 by the end of the year. Been to 7 countries, 24 states. Pretty much anytime there's a good deal and I get on a plane, I do it, I go for it, and try to meet as many new people as possible. But the point is, I started out about 2 years ago with only 1 credit card, now I have about 15. I'm on the extreme end of things, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to give you the information today to help you at least travel a little bit more for free. So just to give a quick overview about what we're going to do. First, we're just going to talk a little bit about points and miles, a general overview of how the system works. Then we're going to talk about earning points. We're going to talk about using points, and then we'll wrap up with some recommendations for cards. So let's talk a little bit about how it works. So just from a high-level perspective, you have loyalty programs. Everybody should be pretty familiar with that. So maybe frequent flyer programs and loyalty programs for hotels. So you've heard of a lot of these, maybe the Southwest Rapid Rewards program or the Intercontinental IHG Rewards program, things of that nature. So you have all the loyalty programs, and then they start to get together with these banks. These banks issue the credit cards, and through a relationship, we have a big win. But how does it actually work? Okay, so obviously in the middle of everything, we have you. And surrounded, we have all of these credit card companies who now have partnered with these hotel and airline companies to bring you a credit card. So in the top left-hand corner there, you'll see the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. Maybe we have the Marriott Rewards. So Marriott and Chase got together and we said, okay, we're going to create this card. But they want you as a customer because they know over the lifetime you're going to provide value to them, whether it's from paying fees or just from spending the money on your card. It's a big win for them, and they're willing to pay for it. Sometimes quite a bit. So as you can see on all these arrows, these are little things that the credit card companies will give to you in order to acquire you as a customer. And these are what I call sign-up bonuses. So for example, if you pick up the Starwood Preferred Guest Card, they'll give you 25,000 points just to get the card. So moving on, the key takeaway is sign-up bonuses equal free travel. That's a big point. And we'll get a little more into that later. So how does it actually look? You go out, maybe you say, Anthony, this sounds like something that I'm interested in. This sounds pretty cool. I want to get into it. So you research the card, you apply for the card, and then it comes in the mail. Great. Chase Sapphire Preferred Card, it came in the mail. You promised me 45,000 points. How do I actually get it? Well, that's the next part. It's hitting that spending requirement. So on every card, they'll say, we'll give you 45,000 points, or we'll give you the sign-up bonus after you do a certain amount of spending within 90 days of your account being open. So these spending requirements vary from card to card. Sometimes they're as little as $1,000. Sometimes they're as much as $5,000 for some business cards. But you get the card, you hit the spending requirement, and then the points are deposited into your loyalty account. Now here's a big takeaway because a lot of people get confused on this. Once the spending requirement is hit, you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to hit it every month. You don't even need to use that card again. You can take that card, and for me, who has 15 of them, just toss it to the side. So that's important. The points are yours to keep regardless of what you do with the card in the end. Now there are some caveats to that down the road in terms of affecting your credit score with canceling cards, but that'll be for another time. But from a basic understanding, you only have to earn the sign-up bonus once, and that's it. Just hit the spending limit, you get the points. So why bother? You're probably saying, Anthony, right off the bat, this sounds super complicated, right? It's like, I've already explained a couple things, and this just sounds really crazy. Why would anyone want to do this? And here's why. Okay, on the left-hand side, we have the little scale of using a credit card versus using a debit card. And if nothing else comes out of this talk today, I hope that no one in this room is ever going to use their debit card for a purchase ever again in their life. Let's just say that you are an average income individual. You earn 1% back on all your purchases, and you're a typical spender. Over the course of your lifetime, that's going to translate into $60,000 in free travel. Now, I don't know about you, but if I get to the end of my life and I say, man, I could have had $60,000 extra dollars to see the world with, and I didn't do it, I would be so disappointed in myself. But that's just talking about it from the spending perspective. If we add in the sign-up bonuses, it's literally an exponential amount that you can get. Me alone, in this year, I've traveled about $12,000 completely for free just from sign-up bonuses. That's before we even start to talk about spending. So when you combine these two things, you really do have unlimited potential. So let's talk a little bit about how to actually earn these points. So like we've talked about a little bit already, you have one way, which is the sign-up bonuses. It's easy. You decide what cards you want to get, you hit the spending limit on it, and then you earn the points. Okay, we won't go too into detail on this because it's so simple, but let's get a little bit more into it, and this is spending. Now for a lot of you, especially if you're involved with e-commerce or you have a business where you do a lot of spending, this is very lucrative. I talked to a guy the other week, and he makes, because he purchases so much through his business, he's earning 700,000 points a month. Now that number might not really mean too much to you, might not mean very much to you right now, but once I start getting into how to spend the points, I'll tell you it's an ungodly amount of points. But it's very simple. You shop, maybe online, maybe in a store, favorite retailers. You swipe your card, step 2, and then you earn. Very simple. So let's talk a little bit more about earning. We have on the right-hand side here our industry standard. It's 1%. If you start looking around online, you'll see different things when they say, okay, well, you're earning 1 cent per dollar or 1 point per dollar and all these different conversions. The thing that you really need to know is the industry standard is 1%. If you're getting 1%, you're doing well. If you're doing anything below 1%, you really should kind of rethink your strategy because you're getting a poor redemption rate. But all that 1% means is that if you go out and spend $1,000, you're going to get $100 back in rewards. Now there's going to be ways that you can get much more than 1%, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Moving on, you have to really ask yourself when you're looking at spending, so how much and what type? There's 4 main types of spending that you can do, or rewards points that you can earn. You can do cashback, fixed value, proprietary, and transferable. So let's walk through each of those. On the right-hand side, you're going to have cashback. This is a really simple concept. You go, you swipe your card, and at the end of the month, you'll get a certain percentage cashback. The best card for this is the Citi Double Cash Card. You earn 2% back on all transactions. So I'll just stop you there for a minute, because think about that example I gave earlier, where you'll make $60,000 over the course of your lifetime. Well, if your whole lifetime you're using the Citi Double Cash Card, now it's going to be $120,000. Pure cash. We're not even talking about the rewards there. That's incredible. Okay, so moving on, we have the fixed value cards. Fixed value card is a pretty simple concept, but instead of earning cash, you're earning these, they call them points, but they're really not points. You're earning essentially points that you can use for travel purchases in the future. So unlike a proprietary system where you have to use the points specifically for a specific hotel chain or maybe for a specific airline, all you do with a fixed value card is you go out and you say, okay, I want to go stay in an Airbnb. It's going to be $200, and you're going to swipe your card or put in your information online, and then when it comes up in your statement, you'll say, okay, $200 from Airbnb, I want to pay for this transaction with points, and then at a rate of 1%, you can redeem your points to take that off of your bill. So, for example, on the Barclay, in which with every other fixed point program, 10,000 points is equal to $100. So, in that case, you would take 20,000 points for a $200 purchase. A proprietary is very simple. It's just a card that's directly linked to a certain brand. So, for example, the Southwest Rapid Rewards Visa, you earn Southwest miles. You can't go fly Delta with those miles, obviously. Now, there are some ways that you can use your points from a proprietary card to book hotel stays, but when you do that, you're really going to diminish the value of the points. The last one is a transferable card. It's very simple. It comes from a couple different banks. American Express has membership rewards, Citi has thank you points, and Chase has ultimate rewards. And it's a very simple process. You earn the points, and then the points can then be transferred out to other partners. So for example, with the ultimate rewards, you can transfer out to a whole bunch of different companies at a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 point of a Chase could equal 1 point of a Marriott, or 1 point in Southwest. It really just depends where you want to transfer to. So, which one's the best? And the true answer to that is whichever card is going to get you the best yield, the best return. So let's talk a little bit about, now you've gotten your cards, you have some money, you have some points from sign-up bonuses, now you actually want to use those points. What does it look like? So this is kind of an interesting subject because it really is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'll take just a couple minutes to walk through what I think are some good redemptions and kind of steer you in the way of the future. But there's literally a million different ways to use points, right? You can buy gift cards, you can take plane rides, you can go get hotel stays, you can even redeem your points for VIP concert packages. It's really up to you. There's a million ways to use points. The thing is, you just have to start reading online. It really depends. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And you start to look at where can I get the best redemption value, and that's how you really start to maximize. So, talking a little bit about using points, I'll give some examples from ways that I've used points that I find to be good redemption values. So, let's take a look, right? So, over Valentine's Day, I went to Puerto Rico for a few days, and it was a ton of fun, but I used 15,000 points from my Wyndham Rewards Visa, which was part of the 45,000 point sign-up bonus, and I was able to book the 1,300 square foot, they call it their Caribbean suite. It goes for almost $1,000 a night. So I got 15,000 points for a $1,000 a night room. That's an incredible value. Not to mention that the Wyndham Grand Grill Mar was an incredibly beautiful hotel, multiple pools. It was just a huge, gorgeous property right on the ocean in Puerto Rico. So with a sign-up bonus of 45,000 points, we're looking at 3 free nights at that property. Just one way of using it. Now, if we're going over to the middle here, we're going to talk a little bit about flights. So on a low level, I flew from Orlando to Atlanta last year for a little bit of business. It cost me just about 2,000 points, and those flights can go, at that time, were $120. Okay, so we'll just do some quick math here. The sign-up bonus on the Southwest Rapid Rewards Visa is 50,000 points. So if I can fly from Orlando to Atlanta for 2,000 miles, that's a lot of free flights. Third one on there is Delta. This was kind of an interesting story. I found out that I was going to go to San Francisco for the Lean Startup Conference. I found out that a company was going to comp my entry. All I had to do was figure out a way to get there. Well, I'm in college, I don't have that much money, and I got to get out to San Francisco tomorrow. Unfortunately, the tickets were crazy expensive. Mine was going to almost be $1,500 for a flight from Florida to San Francisco. So what do? Well, I had just gotten a Delta Gold card with a 50,000 point sign-up bonus. So I flew directly from Gainesville, right here at the University of Florida, straight to San Francisco for 50,000 miles. That's awesome. And then the last one, there's a good example of a fixed value card. I had my Barclay Arrival Plus card with a 40,000 point sign-up bonus. As you all know, that's worth $400 in free travel. I took it. There was some really good flight deals to Iceland, so I bought 2 tickets for $360 for both of them, and I redeemed 36,000 points to do that. So free travel to Iceland was a big win. Now, it gets better than this. Really, the sky's the limit, but probably the epitome of it is looking at flying in this first-class Singapore suites. And the way you do it is you take your Chase Ultimate Rewards points, you transfer over to Singapore Airlines, their KrisFlyer program, and you redeem 57,000 points for a flight from New York to Frankfurt, which is about a $5,000 flight for 57,000 miles. Now, the really cool thing is, when in your life are you going to drop that much money? And it expands drastically from here, but when would you do that? Legroom's not really a problem in this. You pretty much have your own room on the plane. That whole thing converts into a bed. You get into the best lounges. It's all sorts of great. So, it's excellent. So now, everybody always asks me, okay, so I have the cards, or these are all the cards. Which one should I get? There's so many out there, and it's true. There's a ton out there. And there's no good answer without me knowing your situation personally, what is going to be the best card for you. But really, you kind of just have to ask yourself a couple of questions, mainly centered around, what do I do, and where do I go? So it really just depends. If you're putting a lot of money repeatedly every month into paying things for your business, maybe the Chase Ink business card is going to be a really solid card for you. You know, think about where you're going to. If you are consistently flying outside of the U.S., obviously I'm not going to recommend the Southwest Rapid Rewards card for you because it's really only good for flights, at least in America for the most part. So you really just have to look at what your goals are, where you want to travel. Do you want to use your points and miles for personal things to take your family on vacation, or do you want to maybe use them for business to fly a client out or to do something of that nature? So it's really just a personal decision. But the last point I'm going to make before I wrap things up is a note on annual fees. And probably the biggest hurdle I see is I come to people and I say, hey, here's this great system, you can travel a lot for free, and they say, but wait, Anthony, there's an annual fee on the card. That's not good. I don't want to pay $100 a year to have this card, just to have it. And like with anything in life, you have to look at costs and the benefits. So annual fees range anywhere from $49 a year up to $450 a year. I know you're saying, why in the world would anybody pay $450 for an annual fee on a card? But the truth of the matter is, just like with anything, I can tell you why a $450 annual fee card is absolutely worth it. So you kind of just play it by ear. On the American Express Platinum, they give you a $200 airline credit. They give you Starwood Preferred Guest Gold status. You get into lounges, which is all sorts of greatness. Before you come to an airport, you can go into these airport lounges, which will give you free drinks, food, just about anything. So it's really interesting. But then it's not just the high-end cards that are giving you good benefits for the annual fee. It's also the low-end cards. Probably one of my favorite is this Intercontinental Hotel Group, the MasterCard. And this thing packs a $49 annual fee. It's actually waived for the first year, which makes it even better. But not only does it give you elite status with IHG, which is all sorts of greatness. You check into a hotel and they say, Mr. Cofrancesco, thanks so much for your loyalty. We're going to upgrade you into your room. We're going to give you a couple free drinks, or here's free breakfast. Not only do they give you that, you get one free night at any IHG property. So think about that real quick. You pay a $49 annual fee, and for that, every year you can stay one night at any Intercontinental property. That's insane because some Intercontinental properties get very, very expensive. I stayed in one in Miami the other week, which was almost $400 a night. That's awesome. So the decision isn't really a difficult one. Do you want to be taking your clients? Do you want to go take your family out to the Knights Inn here on the left-hand side? Or do you want to go to the Intercontinental Bora Bora? Now, I just talked a little bit about the Intercontinental card and how you get a free night stay at any property in the world. Yeah, this one's included. And it's pretty awesome. It goes for about $1,000 a night, but if you really want me to sell you on it, I'll tell you that the coffee table in the living room is actually made of glass and you can see straight down into the ocean. So, where do you want to be? I really hope that this talk was helpful. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. This was a very high-level overview on points and miles. It gets very, very complex. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Hopefully, I'll be making more of these into the future. I think there's a big lack of video education on points and miles, a lot of this written content. So hopefully, you'll see a lot more from me. And if you like what I'm doing, feel free to let me know if there's things I can improve on. I would love to hear feedback as well. Last two things, my email and LinkedIn are up there. Feel free to reach out to me. No question is a dumb question, and I know it's very confusing when you first start out. I'll never get sick of answering questions about points and miles. I live and breathe this stuff, and I love it. Also, two very helpful resources on the bottom of the page. On the left-hand side, thepointsguy.com. These are probably two of my favorite websites on the internet. Thepointsguy.com has a wealth of information. It's the largest points and miles website on the internet. Any question you have is answered there. Best way to get the maximum for your redemptions. What are the cool cards that I should be going with? Anything you want to know, it's on that site. I'd highly recommend it. Additionally, theflightdeal.com is an excellent website. They have software that essentially searches the web for the best flight deals. They're not even trying to sell you anything on the site. You can't book directly from the site. They're just letting you know where are the good flights to. And it's all based on a decision criteria of flying for less than 6 cents per mile, which is pretty crazy. What they're essentially saying is that a flight to China should never be more than about $500. So check them out. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I hope to hear from you soon.